Well, we've now arrived at session 3 PowerPoint. I hope once again that the PowerPoints, the wonderful words from the various bishops, and the reading and careful reading of the pastoral letter is sparking some fresh enthusiasm or animation within you and all of us who are participating in this e-seminar to really bring about and make a difference within our diocese and within our region, to really spark a new ways of being church in the 21st century. One of the concepts that we constantly have been bringing forward that's a key element for this integrated pastoral communications plan is the concept of collaboration as a grounding principle. We can't say enough about collaboration if this whole concept is truly going to succeed. You've seen so many times where people want to say they want to come together and collaborate. And the collaboration isn't really collaboration. It's more of a discussion, or it's a debate, or it's cooperation. But collaboration calls for a deep commitment around the table. So let's look at what collaboration possibly can mean. So collaboration can be identified as the identification, release, and the union of all the gifts in ministry for the sake of the mission. Now keep that in mind. It's the identification, the release, and union of all the gifts in ministry. So that means those that we invite around our discussion table from the diverse ministries. Remember, they're diverse ministries, not all from the same ministry, but from diverse ministries around the table, that we come to identify, release, and the union of all these gifts for the greater impact for the diocese. One of the most beautiful images that helps us to understand the flow of effective communication and collaboration together is always that beautiful icon, a Rublev's icon of the Trinity. It's one that we really truly can spend time meditating on, and possibly can become the focal point of our conversations when we're meditating, because we see in that eternal perichoresis of that ongoing conversation and divine energy of the Trinity, always moving and empowering and strengthening us in our own mission, is something worthy of an icon for our work as we move forward. St. Paul writes that all these are the work of one and the same Spirit, who apportions them to each one as he determines. So we hear that from St. Paul any number of ways in his writings, that we are all the body of Christ. We have many parts, but we all work together for the common good, because we are the body of Christ, proclaiming the good news in the 21st century. And he also says in Romans, he said, just as each one of us has one body with many members, and not all members have the same function, that's why collaboration is important, because there is not one of us that have all the necessary gifts. But when we sit down around a common table in open dialogue, looking for kind of synergy, of a combined energy of the wisdom, the practical wisdom within our faith community, what we find that we can do is that we can do so much more within the church, and our cup will always be at least half full. It will not be half empty, because we have what we need when we work together. And also, if we see from Paul again, he says, now to each one is the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. So the gifts that are given are not just gifts for myself in my position or my job or my vocation, but it's given for the whole of the whole church. And once we begin to think in terms of the whole church, and not just where do I stand out in the church, but where do I stand in relationship to everyone else, to create this beautiful image of the body of Christ, of the wholeness of the church. This is what collaboration is all about. So what is it about the idea of collaboration within church ministry that opens us up to new possibilities and new ways of accompanying one another and the people of God into a prophetic future? All too often, when people hear the word collaboration, they often will close the door on collaboration, because they have certain fears that we might have to look at what these fears are, when collaboration is all about possibilities and accompanying one another. Ronald Heifetz wrote in one of his great books, he said, people do not fear change, people fear loss. And I've really come to believe that in the work that we do with church, various parishes and churches and dioceses around the world, that people don't fear change. We're changing a lot. We live in a world of constant change. We just have to look at the past week or month or year, 3 years of our lives. to see how technology is changing our lives. But people don't fear change, they fear loss. And so the loss is, what am I going to lose? When we talk about our work here in collaboration, it is really meant to be a win-win for everybody. So we're talking about an ecclesial ministry paradigm shift. Collaboration changes the way we exist, we relate, and how we really work together. It's a new way of thinking, working together. We're seeing this in office spaces, how they're being designed. Instead of people having a lot of closed offices, there's more open space where people can come together and work together and share ideas. That becomes more inviting. Collaboration means taking time to share resources. Yeah, we have to risk a little bit about putting my idea out there, and I have to be willing to listen to the other idea, even though I might say, I don't think that idea is going to work. We tried that before. We still have to listen with a new kind of ears, we have to listen with the ears of our heart, but to take a risk to go outside of ourselves and to dream. We go to places that we never thought we would go before. Not just but we ask the question, what if and why not? And we're open to authentic dialogue. And authentic dialogue really means listening to one another. Often the voice in our head is going on, and I'm already trying to compose what I want to share with somebody. I'm never not listening to what they have to say. Authentic dialogue is as emptying of myself so that I can hear what you are saying. And it means incorporating our differences and our gifts. We are going to be different. We're not all going to be the same. We're never all going to be the same. That's the beauty and the richness of the church today. So how can I let go in order to be enriched, in order for our mission to be strong and prophetic in the 21st century? Authentic collaboration, therefore, nurtures, and I want these three words to stand strong for you: a sense of solidarity, synergy, and stewardship. The three S's of collaboration. When collaboration is effective, you have solidarity. People are standing together, and people in the community, in the country, see something as profound. And synergy means the kind of energy that happens when a group of people come together, and the animation is great, and the ideas are flowing, and synergy animates more creativity and more imagination. And stewardship, most important. With our limited resources, personnel, financial, technical resources, we make the best use of our limited resources. Great stewardship within the church, because working together, we can even have more. So a famous saying is, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. And isn't that true? So if we just keep doing the same thing that we've been doing in the past 3 to 5 or 10 years, we're going to get the same results. If we want new ways of being church in the 21st century, we need to think outside the box. There simply is no other way in the 21st century. So what do? We got to get out on the balcony. Ronald Heifetz talks about that. He says, instead of staying on the dance floor where everybody is and moving around with everybody else, get on the balcony. Get the bigger view that's out there, so you see the whole horizon of how everything is connected. This is what's going to make the difference. Maybe this should be our mantra. Let's all get onto the balcony. When we get onto the balcony, we begin to engage with the practical pastoral wisdom that is evoked through collaboration. I love that, practical pastoral wisdom. Together, in this synergistic way, in this solidarity, we glean the practical pastoral wisdom that we can use in order for us to move forward. It's been stated that Joan Chittister wrote in one of her books, which is a beautiful book, the people we respect, we allow to have points of view of their own. We look to their opinions, in fact, in order to evaluate our own. We discuss their comments and explore their ideas and seek out their perceptions for fear we have missed something of merit in the course of our own deliberations. I hope you can go back and really study this slide and possibly spend some time in conversation on our discussion boards about this, because how true this is. The people we respect, we allow to have points of view of their own. It's not just my opinion, but I can hear something. That's true dialogue. Heifetz says, when you lead, you cannot help but carry the aspirations and longings of other people. That means that openness to other people. It means being vulnerable. It means taking risks. That's what collaboration is. And obviously, if your heart is closed, you cannot fathom those stakes or the losses people will have to sustain as they conserve what is most precious and learn how to thrive in the new environment. So that's another slide I would ask you to contemplate and say, how does this relate to how you lead, how you serve in your parish, in your diocese, or within your region? Parker Palmer said, "We fear encounters in which the other is free to be itself, to speak their own truth, to tell us what we may not wish to hear." That's another a way that prevents us from collaboration, when we fear encounters in which the other is free to be itself, to be himself, to be herself, and to really listen to them. He says we want those encounters on our own terms so that we can control their outcomes. How often do we want to control the outcomes just because we think our idea is best? When collaboratively, in solidarity, through synergy and stewardship, we will have much more than if we stand alone. The fear of the live encounter is that there's the fear of diversity. Ours is not the only view. There's pluralism. There's the fear of conflict. Divergent truths meet. And there is the fear of losing identity, the sense of self, community, or position. All of these we can let go of if we think of the common good of everyone else involved, of the mission and the vision of the church, because the gifts are there. We have what we need. We need to think outside the box. There are 3 kinds of groups, we're told. You can decide which one of these groups do we find ourselves. There are those who make something happen, those who wait for things to happen, and those who wonder what had happened. Now, think about how you may find yourself in this. Hopefully, we may all be moving towards the first one, those who make something happen. Make something happen with an integrated pastoral communications plan that will really change the way we communicate within the Antilles Episcopal Conference, within our own dioceses. Collaboration does change the way we work together. It's as simple as that. So there is this distinction. We may use the word cooperation. That simply means that we coexist together. Coordination, we realize we do not exist in isolation, but collaboration sees that there is interdependence. That's where the synergy comes. That's where the solidarity comes. And that's where the stewardship comes in. So successful collaboration results in solidarity, synergy, and stewardship. We have a win-win situation. We all are moving forward. We all have the powerful means of communicating faith and working together to make a difference in the 21st century. So what initiatives may we embrace to become more collaborative for strengthening the mission of our diocese or the Antilles Episcopal Conference region? That's what we're trying to explore in this e-seminar as we explore on the discussion boards, as you listen to the insights of the bishops and you read the wisdom within the pastoral letter. It's collaboratively we're finding a way to really educate, to inform, form, and transform all of our peoples who are in leadership to make a difference in the 21st century for new ways of being church in the 21st century.